5 minutes until detonation.
So we're finally getting to the end of Leon Kennedy's Scenario A story, and the usual Resident Evil thing happens. Someone tripped the self-destruct of the entire facility, and they need to leave under a time limit. Unfortunately for Leon, he also ran into the other Capcom cliche that they like to use, and that is putting a final boss fight against the time limit in order to falsify a sense of urgency and make it more exciting than it actually is, which isn't necessarily a bad thing because it can really high up the tension. It's just that if your boss turns out to be a bit designed like this final boss fight, then it kind of turns more into an annoyance rather than something high octane and very fun, because it's very thrilling to do it against a time limit. William Birkin's Form 3 and 4 in his final boss fight is kind of a problem because, like some bad survival horror bosses, Capcom designed it to be very fast and very jumpy, which makes it very hard to pin down using tank controls, which means that the controls are fighting against the player, which means that that is an unfair level of difficulty because you're just hamstringing us with an ability to move faster than we could normally, which is why, at the end of the day, I just said fuck it and just basically tanked every damage that Form 4 could throw out with the healing items I had on hand, and then just spent the entire rest of the boss fight just leveling him over and over again with the magnum rounds I also had in my pocket. At that point, I was just completely fucked off with the whole thing because, like I said, his Form 4 can just jump on walls and jump behind you in a couple seconds to take cheap shots at you, whereas Form 3 can also walk very fast, is kinda unpredictable, so it could just end up wherever the hell it wants on screen because, again, this is a survival horror game with fixed angle cameras, so it's kinda hard to see him coming and also to plan ahead because of that fact. But the one thing I do want to say about William Birkin's Form 3 and 4 boss fight is that his character design is awesome. It is amazing. Because this is the point where the G-Virus has so infected his body and he's taken so much damage that even his old humanoid form from Form 3 is completely devolved and he's become more animalistic in Form 4, which is just awesome because it has all this jutting teeth, he's covered in blood and bruises, and he's still got all those extra arms going on, and he's completely fucked up. I'm honestly can't wait to see how they redo this stuff in HD for the remake because it is so completely fucked up already, even with these PSX graphics, which shows that Capcom really was pushing the envelope back in the day, and I really hope they do back that up with the remake that's coming out either at the end of this year or in 2019. But as a boss fight in of itself, it was completely predictable just because this was a Capcom game. The controls and the implementation of the boss fight weren't exactly up to par because it's just too damn fast to deal with the survival horror controls that Capcom has patented at this point. And unfortunately, at the end of the day, I just didn't want to have to deal with the encroaching time limit, the possibility of failure, and having to redo the whole thing altogether, that I just decided to fuck it. Had a really lucky shot with Form 4 not just mullering me as I stood still and leveled a bunch of ammo into its face until it died, and then was able to get on the elevator and hit the final cutscene, which I'm very glad for. Leon Kennedy's Scenario A was a hell of a lot of fun time. Brought in tons of new flavors of gameplay and content, the story was great all the way down, and he's just a great character overall. William Birkin was a fun boss to fight over and over and over again, because his forms kept changing in miraculous ways, and he was just very interesting to see repeated, just like Junior Troopa in Paper Mario. It was a fun boss fight, even though the gameplay itself is not really the high-octane, super-duper ending that I think Capcom envisioned when they were planning this out. But I do appreciate the effort, I do hope that they continue trying with future games, and this was overall a quality boss fight, even though it didn't do everything that it really should have been doing.